morning, it's October 16th. This is To My Liberal Friends. I don't think there's any doubt that Donald Trump caused a visceral reaction among the American public. You either love him or hate him, but you cannot deny that he has turned the political world on its head, and I'm not sure he'll ever be the same. After 4 years of Joe Biden, who was hidden away from the public and especially the press, Donald Trump cannot get enough of the camera and seems to relish answering questions from the media. Most of the media would fall into the liberal camp, but they would also have to admit that Trump has made their jobs a lot easier because he's available and it seems like it's 24 hours a day. The U.S. Constitution defines the president as the commander-in-chief. It's a solemn and grueling responsibility. It broke Lyndon Johnson, turned Barack Obama's hair gray, and accelerated Joe Biden's decline into dotage. Many voters ultimately cast their votes for the candidate who is the more plausible commander-in-chief. Most voters, including myself, struggle to imagine Kamala Harris in that role. Say what you like about Donald Trump, commanding comes naturally to him. He not only does he thrive on the job's relentless demands, he goes further. He has emerged this year as the disruptor-in-chief. Trump takes a vastly different approach to any negotiation. I would have to say this comes from his business background, which was mostly in real estate and development. He makes an outrageous opening offer and starts negotiating from that point. That style has delivered some amazing results, both domestically and in foreign policy, in the 9 months he's been in office. The peace deal he constructed in Gaza has even forced his loudest critics to either shut up or give him a mild nod of agreement. Democracy, H.L. Mencken famously said, is the theory that the common people know what they want and deserve to get it good and hard. Well, Trump has given it to American voters good and hard this year. They wanted immigration restriction. They got it with breathtaking speed. Net migration to the U.S. averaged 2.6 million people a year under Joe Biden, and that's according to the CBO, but will shrink this year to just 400,000 thanks to the closure of the southern border and an aggressive new deportation drive. Estimates by many experts now put that net migration figure for 25 even lower, at zero or even negative territory, as thousands of illegal migrants have chosen to self-deport. Well, voters were mad at Joe Biden over inflation. Consumer price inflation was 2.9% in August, slightly down since Trump was sworn in, and a third of the rate we saw in the summer of 2022. Oil prices are down 23% since Inauguration Day. Even raising the average tariff rate to a height not seen since 1934 has barely caused inflation to rise. But that is not to say all is well with the Trump administration and the world. Voters demand what many might think is the impossible. Trump's approval rating is at 44%, which is down from 56% in January. The euphoria of the election has worn off, and the expectation of voters is always higher than what could be done. Trump campaigned on immigration and the economy, and his ratings on the economy are minus 15% when it comes to inflation, and they're 27%. The reason for those numbers, in my opinion, is that people expected prices to drop. In reality, that's not going to happen. The pace of rising prices has slowed, but they have not come down to the grocery store, and this is what people thought would happen. On immigration, his numbers are now mixed. The constant negative coverage of the mainstream media has caused people to rethink some of their positions. While most are happy that the border is now secure and basically closed, they're concerned about the efforts to deport so many people. They want the criminals taken out of the country, but the media deflects from that effort and makes it seem that ICE is going after law-abiding immigrants. The statistics say that's false, but the perception becomes reality, and Trump's polling numbers on immigration enforcement are slowly dropping. On foreign policy, Trump is still getting good numbers, and this was only buttressed by what's occurred in the Middle East. The peace plan is one that could transform Gaza, but has many hurdles to overcome. Hamas has to lay down their arms, and there's no assurance that they will do that. The 20-point peace plan has some short-range solutions with a bolder long-term plan for government run by an apolitical Palestinian committee overseen by a new board of peace. That peace board will be chaired by Donald Trump and former Prime Minister Tony Blair. We'll have to see how this plays out. That leaves the two biggest foreign policy issues unresolved, and I'm talking about the war in Ukraine and how to deal with an aggressive China. On the Ukraine, Trump has achieved something that has eluded every U.S. president since Richard Nixon by getting NATO countries to increase their defense spending from 2% to 5% of GDP. He has effectively ended U.S. aid to Ukraine and transferred that responsibility to European nations. He's even offered to sell Tomahawk missiles to Europeans, and they can then gift them to Ukraine. Allowing Ukraine to strike deep into Russia would change the calculus of that war. And that leaves China, and it is the most difficult foreign policy problem on the table. For Trump, the issue has always been trade with China, and he keeps using tariffs as his chief bargaining tool. In typical Trump style, he goes in full bore, then softens his approach within a few days. That was on full display this past week. Rare earths proved to be a trump card in the trade war this spring. As U.S.-China tariffs soared in early April, Beijing said it would begin requiring licenses to export certain rare earth metals. In May, Chinese exports of rare earth magnets tumbled 74% from a year earlier. Automobile manufacturers howled. Following a truce between the U.S. and China in Geneva in mid-May, Beijing pledged to ease the restrictions. Both sides have some leverage in this area. Rare earths are China's best ace. But China needs the advanced semiconductors for it to achieve its goals in AI. Most AI chips used by China are designed in the U.S. and manufactured in Taiwan. If rare earths are a choke point, the most advanced chips are China's choke point. There can be little doubt that Trump 2.0 has disrupted not only American domestic politics, but also the international order. There's no going back to the old ways. That was tried under Joe Biden. It ended abjectly as a failure. The post-1945 order is dead. The bipartisan consensus in favor of free trade and a U.S.-led system of collective security has been buried. What comes out of this in the next couple of years will determine if Trump is a winner or not over the long run. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.